there really is very little holding back Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu early on in this conflict that started now over a year ago, a year and 2 years ago with Hamas's October 7th attack against Israel, that Israel has established escalation dominance every step of the way, or whether against Iran or the Iranian allies and networks in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq. So really the only thing, and we see that where I am in Washington, although the U.S. administration does have significant leverage over Israel. It is Israel's premier ally, the sole or the number one military supplier. This wouldn't be possible without the assistance of the United States. THAAD anti-aircraft, anti-missile batteries that have been deployed in Israel in preparation for this latest round. So this is impossible without the United States. But we see an administration, because of a very closely contested election, and because Israel is not a foreign policy issue in the U.S., is a domestic issue in the United States, an administration that's not willing to use its leverage. So really, there is very little right now that is holding back Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, except for perhaps some calculus in his mind about who the president-elect is likely to be come November 5 here in the U.S., and whether he does want to cross a president-elect Harris, or he wants to perhaps wait and see if we have a president-elect Trump, which would then give him greater flexibility in perhaps our broader campaign, a second wave against Iran.
Well, on that question and separating the intentions of Prime Minister Netanyahu and some members of his cabinet from the rest of Israel very clearly here, if you take a look at Hamas and his campaign against Hamas and Hezbollah, he hasn't been waiting, of course, for after the US presidential election in that regard. So when it comes to Iran and diminishing the threat posed there to Israel, do you think at all there's any weight to things that some analysts have been saying that actually perhaps he would prefer a more open confrontation with Iran to destabilize and get rid of that threat once and for all?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard that speculation time and again. I think there's first a difference in magnitude. An offensive against Hamas and even Hezbollah in Lebanon pales in comparison to what we're witnessing tonight. It is a completely different ballgame to see Iran and Israel coming to blows in a direct fashion. This is a conflict that has pretty much raged since the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979, but with a very clear established preference by the Iranians for asymmetric warfare, indirect warfare, using proxies because of the military and technological disadvantage that Iran is at. So it's unprecedented to see this now taking place in a direct fashion, and the magnitude and the fallout from a direct war. We can, I think, right now speak of an unfolding war between Israel and Iran impacts the entire region, with possibly a contagion effect to neighboring Arab Gulf states and American bases and assets throughout the region in the Gulf, but also in Iraq and in Syria. So for a U.S. administration, this is much more consequential than Netanyahu's campaign, Israel's campaign against Hamas and Hezbollah. And certainly it does not help a president-elect or a presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, to have the Middle East on fire at this point and so late in this election.
All right, Firas Maqsad, a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute. Very good to have you with us. Thanks for your analysis.
Thank you.